It's Kaylin Goss from the KBIA newsroom, and it's time for Missouri on Mic, conversations from Missouri in its 200th year. Steve Paul spoke with the Missouri on Mic team at the Unbound Book Festival in April. He spoke about his work at the Kansas City Star, as well as Ernest Hemingway's time at the paper. Here's Steve.
I'm a writer. I spent more than 40 years on the staff of the Kansas City Star newspaper as a writer and editor. I retired 6 years ago. As my last gig, I did everything at the paper, but my last gig I was the editorial page editor and an op-ed columnist. And I decided time was to move on, and I've reinvented myself as a writer of literary biography. So when I left the paper, I finished a book I'd been working on for some time about Ernest Hemingway in Kansas City. Essentially, it's called Hemingway at 18. His year after high school, he comes to Kansas City and works at the Kansas City Star for 6.5 months, and then goes off to the war in Italy, where he gets wounded 2 weeks before his 19th birthday. He gets wounded at the front, and so his 18th year was rather monumental, and mine was the first book to actually go into sort of great detail about his Kansas City period especially. I just gave 2 big file crates of my files related to my Hemingway research to the library at UMKC, the Special Collections Library. A lot of archival research goes into these kinds of books, and so I spent a lot of time looking for, my subject's correspondence, letters between friends and colleagues and family. So I'm working on a book right now about the poet William Stafford, who came out of Kansas and died about 30 years ago. So I'm reading a lot of his poetry right now, and some other essays of his and other people. The one thing that writers leave is their work. They leave us their work. And, you can make the mistake of reading their work as some sort of autobiographical document, and I try not to do that. But hopefully I find things out about these subjects that helps put them in a new light and, creates a much more, rounded portrait of someone who might not, especially in the case of Cannell, who was not well known at all. And he deliberately sort of kept a lid on his life in the sense that he didn't want to be, he famously said in an interview once that he wanted to be anonymous, But anyway, so I violated his privacy by writing this book about him. But anyway, it is. I've gotten deep into the world of biography, and what we do is to, tell people's life stories in hopefully alluring ways.
That was Steve Paul speaking about his career as a journalist and his new book, which focuses on Ernest Hemingway's time in Kansas City. Missouri on Mic is an oral history and journalism project from Missouri's 200th year. Thanks to Jackie Lamb for producing this episode and the Burney Sisters for providing our music. For more conversations like these, visit kbia.org. I'm Kaylin Goss. Thanks for listening.